All right, hi, we're here to learn how to do iron oxide staining. Here's what you'll need to do the iron oxide staining. Number one, you'll need a bisque piece of pottery. Then you'll need the iron oxide stain. This is just iron oxide in water, FeO2 in water. You'll need a clean sponge, a little cup of water, a clean brush, and an apron. It's a little messy. So, step one, if you have a piece of pottery, glaze the inside first. Here's some dark blue glaze. Pour it in, swirl it around, pour it out. It's always a good idea to glaze the inside of your pieces first if you think you might get some drips. And if I turn this over right now, it will drip down the side and then I can wash it off. But if I wait, see I'm waiting right here, waiting, then you can turn it over and you can see I've got glaze on the inside, no drips, it's ready to go. Okay, next is the iron oxide staining. So I take, this is again, this iron and water. I'll take my brush, get it in the iron, and I'll start just on the bottom. That is a very thick coat of iron right there. Okay, I don't need it or want it that thick. So then I'll take my sponge, and you can use the sponge to spread the iron around. And if you do it neatly, you won't see any of these kind of sponge strokes on there. So there you go, that looks pretty good on the bottom. Can you have iron oxide on the bottom? Absolutely, iron oxide is just iron. When it gets fired in the kiln, the oxygen gets separated from the iron, and then there you go, but there's no glaze on the bottom. And you can see I've got quite a bit of residual iron on the sponge, and I can use my sponge and my water to go ahead and go around and stain it. And the magic of that iron oxide staining is that it shows texture very, very well. You can see that this piece of pottery I have here, it's got a lot of texture on it, and the iron is soaking into the clay. I can wipe away the surface that gets that contrast. Okay, now I don't want to get that blue glaze onto my iron, so I'm going to kind of do it upside down here. I guess I'd rather have the iron on top of the dark blue glaze than the other way around, because I want the outside just to have the iron. All right, so here we go. There's a little bit of iron on the glaze. We'll see how that comes out when it gets finished. But there's the iron oxide staining. Does make your hands a little messy. I am wearing an apron. I don't recommend doing this without an apron. And up next, I just have to do the cleanup. I've got washing out the brush. The iron oxide stain goes back in the tool cabinet behind the teacher's desk. And I've just got a little bit to clean up. So I'm going to put that in the kiln, and then I'll show the results here at the end of this video. A couple of results of finished iron pieces. This is actually iron oxide on a sculpture, and the fish here had orange underglaze on it and iron over it. You can see you can do iron over that, iron on the bottom. And here's an iron oxide piece that had a much heavier coat of iron left on it. So it's much darker, but you can see it still picks up all the texture.